Matt Walsh, one of the remaining hosts over at the Daily Wire, is not a fan of the war in Iran. In fact, just recently he posted something that speaks to my own heart about the liars who have cheerled this war when the US has only lost. We haven't won anything from this. He says pretty much all of the prominent voices who supported the Iran war assured us it would be over by now. None of them will admit that they were wrong. Even less will they admit that their initial assurances were based on nothing but their own wish casting. This whole crap show has been an enormous waste of time and resources, and our country has not benefited from it at all. Its advocates have moved the goalposts repeatedly and have even to this day refused to clearly articulate what constitutes a victory and how we'll know that it's been achieved. Now, in response to that post, Congressman Thomas Massie said, I hope you don't lose your job over this.
That's literally what I was about to say.
And of course, he's alluding to the fact that Ben Shapiro is a huge cheerleader of the war against Iran, always has been. So we'll show, in fact, let's just go to D1 just to give you a little taste of the kinds of arguments Shapiro makes.
I've said it a lot of times before, I'll say it again. President Trump was right and brave to go after Iran. His right to go after the Iranian missile facilities, his right to go after their nuclear facilities, his right to blow up their navy, his right to take down their air force in Operation Epic Fury. Operation Economic Fury, which is the blockade on Iranian oil, has been similarly good and brave. Now, I didn't agree with the original ceasefire in April. I think we should have continued to strike them and strike their oil facilities. But here's the thing, you never know the outcome of a war until it's over. You don't know the outcome. So there are a lot of people out there today claiming that America has lost, that somehow this is an endless war, which is, again, a very strange term for a war that lasted a few weeks and then, since basically April, has been in a state of stasis.
By the way, the US and Iran have been exchanging strikes. Just now, I checked to see if there were any updates. Iran is targeting US military bases in Kuwait, and there are alarms going off in Bahrain. So Shapiro seems to be getting his way. But the reason why I showed that video is because obviously there's a huge disagreement here between Shapiro and Walsh. And I don't know if Walsh was shadowboxing Ben Shapiro in that post, but it kind of feels like it.
Yeah. All right, well, interesting. I guess Matt Walsh's days are numbered because Ben Shapiro, or we're gonna find out, does Ben Shapiro completely run Daily Wire or does he not? Because if he does, he's not gonna tolerate anyone being anti-war. He loves war, especially war for Israel. No, to be fair, only war for Israel. Because if we waste our resources doing war against anyone else, no, we should reserve those for helping Israel.
To be fair, Ben Shapiro is a huge supporter of us defending Ukraine against Russia.
Because Russia is opposed to Israel and Russia was defending Syria.
There's always a connection, but.
And Russia was defending Iran. Oh, look at that. After Russia was busy in Ukraine, what did Israel do? They attacked Syria and Iran. Huh.
It did help with the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad, which is something Israel really wanted.
So, that's so weird how they seem to have liked that war for two. On the other hand, if you were gonna actually build a nuke like North Korea, the Israelis were like, no, who cares? The South Koreans and the Japanese, if they die from those nukes, they're not Israelis, their lives don't count. Don't waste any effort there on the people actually building a nuclear weapon. Let's go after the ones that are not building nuclear weapons, but that are our neighbors and we want to murder and defang. Okay, anyway, so Matt, I'm surprised that you're not for more murder and mayhem, but that'll cost you. Okay, so let's see how that plays out. But now, to Shapiro, it's almost at a point where I'm tuning him out. I know what he's gonna say. You know it before every clip. More war, I gotta do what Israel wants. I became a little bit of Shapiro, a little bit of Mark Levin there. But this is unsustainable, guys. And I think what Matt Walsh is doing here, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, which I really don't want to do, but that he actually does mean it to some degree.
No, he means it. I mean, he has put out other statements previously cautioning against the war or criticizing the war. So I do think he actually believes this.
I do, but I think that there's a second component because he believed this for a long time, but hasn't said it until now. I think he gets the sense this is a sinking ship. So he's looking for the exit. And an easy way to get an exit is, hey, maybe if I start saying something against Israel, they'll have to pay me off to have me leave. right? And then I take that money and I start my own thing and I get as big as Candace, whatever it is, right?
Oh, he's not going to make it.
So is he? That's fine, and no, I certainly don't think so. But it's okay. But you see the machinations being played, and so the timing of this is what makes me curious about why he said it now.
You know, what's also interesting is we learned through a recent Free Press piece that Shapiro has influence regularly texting with prominent Republican lawmakers and senior Trump administration cabinet members.
Oh, cool.
And as Trump's recent decision to greenlight his second Iran war shows, the president's thinking on foreign policy aligns more closely with Shapiro than with many of Shapiro's new enemies on the right.
Okay, let me ask this question. Shapiro is now one of the smallest shows in the right-wing media ecosystem. Why is the White House taking his call and not Sean Ryan's call when Sean has a show that's what, 10, 20, 40 times larger? I don't know what the exact numbers are, but Sean Ryan's top 10, Tucker Carlson's top 20, Megyn Kelly, on and on. Those people actually talk to his voters, to his base, to the right wing. Shapiro's got like 3 guys left that he talks to, and it's Mark Levin, Laura Loomer, and Randy Fine. So it's not about the relative size of their audience. Ben Shapiro is connected to Israel, so he will get his call answered at the White House every single time. Sean Ryan at this point is one of the largest podcasters in the world, but is not connected to Israel. In fact, is now opposing Israel. So he's not going to get his call answered. Last month, the Supreme Court cleared the way for Alabama Republicans to pursue a new voting map, and the coverage of that decision split almost instantly along partisan lines. Now, on the left, a high factuality source says this decision paves the way for racial gerrymandering. On the right, a mixed factuality source frames it as a fix for Democrat-friendly congressional districts. So which one is it? Well, this is a major story that could affect the balance of power in the midterms, and without ground news, it would be a whole lot harder to instantly see that partisan split across the more than 200 sources covering it. That's exactly why I recommend ground news. You just saw how easy it is to look at one story and immediately compare who's pushing what. Ground news is a website and app that pulls together reporting from across the political spectrum so you can compare how the same story is being covered, see the bias distribution, check the factuality ratings of the sources, and even see who owns the outlets behind the reporting. Ground news also has a blind spot feed, which highlights stories that one side of the political spectrum is barely covering at all. So you're not just trapped inside the version of events your usual media bubble wants to feed you. If you're tired of being fed somebody else's narrative, I genuinely recommend Ground News. Go to ground.news/TYT or scan the QR code. Using our link gets you 40% off the Ground News Vantage plan, and you can also gift a subscription directly through Ground News. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.